Before we begin with our opening song, we do something every time we gather. And so I'm going to do it as we gather. So those of you who are in our preschool chapel, you see this every week. So before we begin, we light a candle. And there are reasons we light a candle, and I'm going to get into that for the children's sermon. So please wait on that. But we gather in quiet and light a candle, in part to remember that God is with us. All right. Now, can you help us all sing? God is very near. Good job. So did you hear a lot of strange words a few minutes ago? Did you hear a lot of different people talking? Did you? What did it sound like? Did you hear all the people talking in the different languages? No? No? I really need one of you to have heard this. So this is a year, every year we call this Pentecost, and we read from the Bible that there were all kinds of people who followed Jesus, and they didn't look like us. People had different skin color. They lived in different parts of the world. They had different languages other than English. And it reminds us that Jesus' followers, the church, is all over the world, in places like Libya, in places like Turkey, in places like Israel and Palestine and Iran and Iraq, all those places we hear about on the news. There were Christians who have been there for centuries, and so we remember them on this day. And then we hear this funny story that when they were gathered, something like fire was on their tongue, and they became excited, and they began to talk about God and Jesus in their own language. And so we light fire in part to remember that God has this really unpredictable way that he comes, and God's Spirit can come and be with us. So what is fire used for? To help the candles, right? Fire helps the candles. What is fire also good for? Fire is good for? Does anyone else have an idea of what fire or candles are good for? When it's real dark, what does fire help with?
Fire to cook.
It's light.
We have fire to cook over.
Fire to help us cook over here.
Fire is fires are I
Forgot. That's okay.
campfires are good for cooking animals.
Not a vegetarian in that household, I see.
Fire is good for cooking.
Great. Anyone else? Fire, when it gets really cold, what does fire help?
To help the eyes.
To help de-ice? Very good. Very good. Someone
When it's cold, it's over here.
provides warmth.
It's good for It's good for warming up your body when you're cold.
Great. Great answer. So fire is very good. It keeps us warm. It helps us cook food. Fire can also sometimes be destructive. If a fire starts, particularly in a wildfire, or it can sadly burn down homes. Fire does a lot of good things, but then sometimes fire is very unpredictable. And it just happens and it begins burning. And so that's kind of what God's Spirit is like. And so we talk about God's Spirit, the Holy Spirit, kind of being like that. That it can just come out of nowhere. And God's Spirit can be among us. And it can be with all kinds of different people. People who live all around the world and speak different languages. So it's a wonderful thing to give God thanks for. That God's Spirit comes to everyone and anyone. All right? Great job with your answers this morning. Thank you. And so then we have a song that we leave with as we are dismissed from chapel. We have a song. And please join us. Now in peace, go now. Great job. Now you may go back to your parents or your class. Great job, all of you.